What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of The 8 Below Show. Welcome everyone to 8 Below. Thanks for being here, guys, to the best entertainment-related show here on YouTube. And I'm super excited about our episode here today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get into it. One of the most anticipated movies of the year, without a doubt, guys, is Black Widow. This movie has been long awaited and pretty much long overdue in a lot of people's opinions, and I want to talk about in this first segment of the show everything we know so far about this highly anticipated movie. So let's talk about it. In an article, guys, that was written by Rick Marshall of Digital Trends, Marvel fans have been clamoring for a standalone Black Widow movie for years, and they're finally getting one. Despite her seemingly permanent send-off in Avengers Endgame, Natasha Romanoff will return to the big screen to kick off Marvel's highly anticipated Phase 4. In true super spy fashion, Marvel Studios is keeping many details of Black Widow a tightly guarded secret, but the company has revealed some footage from the film via trailers and television ads. So the new release date, guys, obviously there's the new release date announced for Black Widow. Obviously, a lot of movies are getting moved to later dates because of the pandemic going on, and they just don't. Everyone is it's very up in the air when the pandemic is going to end, and so they want to make sure that they push these movies far enough in advance, which is basically creating this. Just so many blockbusters are going to be coming out very close to one another. But that being said, in March, Disney was forced to delay a number of films due to the pandemic, including Black Widow. Now they've announced a new release date, November 6th of 2020. That move bumps the Eternals, which was originally scheduled for November 6th, to February 12th of 2021. Marvel Studios postponed the premiere of Black Widow after the two largest theater chains in the US announced plans to close indefinitely in March, and many states banned large gatherings of people. The film was originally scheduled to premiere May 1st. So obviously, guys, AMC theaters is going through a significant amount of issues with the theater chain being the theater giant that they are. Now, this is almost a discussion for another day, guys, but really when you think about it, I'm actually wondering if Marvel is going to go ahead and they're going to put the Black Widow out there in theaters in November, but they're also going to release it shortly after it goes to theaters on Disney Plus to see how well it does on either platform. Because I think Disney is starting to consider the idea of maybe they should start moving all of their movies, pretty much, or all of their content onto Disney Plus, where they aren't having to split revenue share with a movie theater and such. And I wonder if that's kind of the future of what's going to happen with many of these film studios. It would be really sad to see the movie theater industry go out of business, which I don't know if it's going to happen for a while yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of those movies where they test the water, so to speak. Maybe this one, maybe even the Eternals, they might see what it does in theaters as well as on Disney Plus. But that's just something to maybe think about as well, guys. And this pandemic is kind of opening that doorway, because we're seeing just how many issues now AMC theaters is going through, amongst other theater chains out there. So this might be an opportunity for Marvel, but more so than not, Disney deciding what they want to do with Black Widow at this point. Now, obviously, guys, there's been a lot of images that have surfaced regarding Black Widow. There's been, of course, the trailers. The trailers are great, guys, and I think that if you guys haven't seen them yet, definitely check them out. Some of the promo images I like, some of them I don't so much, but the stills are really cool. They've got as far as the trailers go, I think the trailers make this look really, really exciting, in my personal opinion. Look, this is a movie, guys, that I'm very excited about. Obviously, I'm excited just like everyone else, because I think what is really anticipated is how Phase 4 is going to kick off and what we're going to see moving forward in this franchise. Because when you really look at it, it feels like Disney, another reason why I think Disney might be moving really into their Disney Plus launch more so than not, and kind of bringing stuff more so to Disney Plus, is because all of their big blockbuster movies, even though Black Widow is probably going to be a big blockbuster, if you think about it, Avengers Endgame and Toy Story and all of these, other movies that they were bringing out over the course of time in theaters, it kind of seems like all of those have almost eclipsed, and now we're probably going to see a decrease, obviously, in revenues from Marvel in particular, just because obviously there's nothing that's going to be as big as the Avengers. At least I don't think there will be, like Black Widow or the Eternals or Doctor Strange 2. Those are going to be big movies, but they're not going to be as big as the Avengers, and so I think that what the MCU is probably going to try to do is with Phase 4, it's almost like they're revamping here. They're going to kind of, now they've totally shown everyone their cards. Everyone's seen like just how incredible Avengers Endgame was, and just Avengers was in general. So now what they're trying to do is move into a direction of kind of almost restarting, right? Kind of with Phase 1, when you had like Iron Man come out and they started like all these different phases, they're kind of going back to that, back to the groundwork, the foundation, and kind of rebuilding now what they started. And then, of course, with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that's another one people are going to be really excited about. But all in all, guys, the concept arts, some of the stills are really great, and the trailers are awesome for this movie. So overall, the things that we know, guys, about these movies in particular, or I should say this movie in particular, is it looks really cool, right? It looks really great. We know, of course, about the release date, when that's coming out. Now, let's talk a little bit about the cast. I think it's important for us to understand, the cast. Obviously, everyone knows Scarlett Johansson, who will be slipping into the Black Widow's stealth suit for the 8th time. Johansson has played Black Widow since 2010 when she debuted in Iron Man 2. Johansson's Black Widow has also appeared in all 4 Avengers movies, Captain America: The Winter Soldier and Captain America: Civil War. She'll be joined in Black Widow by Florence Pugh, who will play Natasha's fellow Red Room alumnus, Yelena Belova. Pugh, who burst on the scene in 2014's The Falling, is one of Hollywood's rising stars. Then, of course, the young actress received rave reviews for her lead performance in Lady Macbeth. Then, of course, guys, in addition, Stranger Things' very own Chief Hopper, David Harbour, will appear in Black Widow as the Red Guardian, the Russian equivalent of Captain America, and in Marvel's comics, Natasha's ex-husband. So this is a very exciting addition, of course, to this stellar cast. I'm really excited about David Harbour being this. I'm excited to see what he looks like. Obviously, we've seen him as Hellboy. I didn't really like the Hellboy movie. I thought he was a great Hellboy in particular, but I just didn't like the movie very much. So I'll be interested to see how he portrays the Red Guardian. Now, as far as we'll kind of go over briefly the plot as well as the timeline here, even though Black Widow is less than a year from release, we still don't know much about its plot, although we do know when it takes place. At Comic-Con International 2019, Marvel confirmed that Black Widow is a prequel film that will be set between the events of Captain America: Civil War and Avengers: Infinity War. For those of you who need a quick refresher, Civil War ended with Black Widow on the after helping Captain America and the Winter Soldier escape prosecution at the hands of Iron Man's pro-oversight forces. She remained in hiding until Infinity War, when Thanos' impending arrival forced her to emerge from the shadows. Marvel also announced that one of Black Widow's bad guys will be Taskmaster, who's also poised to be a major villain in Square Enix's upcoming Avengers video game. In the comics, Taskmaster is a mercenary who can mimic the fighting style of any opponent he crosses paths with. He tends to carry a sword and a shield, although he's a skilled hand-to-hand combatant as well, and should give Natasha a pretty tough fight. So, with that, guys, I think it's pretty, we don't know a lot, right? We don't know a lot. We pretty much know the timeline here, okay? So it's between Captain America: Civil War and Avengers: Infinity War. And like I said, what I'm really excited about with this movie in particular is it's almost like revamping the MCU. It's kind of going back to the Iron Man days, right? When Iron Man first came out, and that kind of really started everything. I think that this might kind of restart everything once again. And I think Scarlett Johansson, she's a great actress. I love her as Black Widow. I'm excited to see kind of where they go with this, because I think there's going to be a lot of surprises as well. I really do. Now, as far as Black Widow is being directed by Kate Shortland, who's best known for the Nazi drama Lore. In 2017, Shortland also directed Berlin Syndrome, a psychological thriller about a young photographer who's held captive by her one-night stand. Now, I don't know who Kate Shortland is. I haven't seen either of those movies, but I love that Marvel is the type of company that gives a lot of these more less known directors a real shot at making something special. And so I'm excited to see what she can do, because we've seen it time and time again, guys, obviously with the Russo brothers. And I mean, just, we could go on about the list of directors that have done an incredible job with Marvel movies who really don't have like a significant background in making, large blockbuster movies. Meanwhile, Black Widow's script was written by Jack Schaefer, whose credits include her debut film Timer and The Shower, a script that earned a spot on Hollywood's blacklist of popular scripts circulating around the industry. So, I've definitely heard of Jack Schaefer before, but once again, not a super popular, scriptwriter or screenwriter. But nonetheless, I'm excited to see what this, how the dialogue and all of that goes as we watch the movie. Now, Marvel knows that what Black Widow is worth for the MCU. And for Natasha's solo flick, decided to pay Johansson accordingly. For Black Widow, the Marvel veteran will earn a whopping $15 million, which is on par with what Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth earned for playing a Captain America and Thor, respectively, in both Infinity War and their most recent solo films, Captain America Civil War and Thor Ragnarok. For the sake of comparison, Black Panther star Chadwick Boseman was reportedly paid $2 million to star in that character's first solo feature, while Brie Larson is said to have earned $5 million to star in Captain Marvel movie, which also required her to sign a 7-movie deal with Marvel. So, that being said, you look at that discrepancy there. I mean, Chadwick Boseman, man, he should be getting paid significantly more than $2 million. Now, obviously, they were probably this is the first time we're going to be really seeing Black Panther as far as in a solo movie. So maybe afterwards he'll get a bigger payday. Obviously, I would assume with further additions to the Black Panther, his solo movies, and when he's in the MCU as a whole, which I'm sure he's going to be in pretty much all of the MCU movies for the most part, but. All in all, guys, this is pretty much everything that we know so far about the movie. We know a lot, but we also know little at the same time. There's a lot of question marks here regarding this movie and where they're going with the MCU as a whole. I'm really excited about it. What are you guys the most excited about in this Marvel Black Widow movie? I got to say, the action, obviously, I'm excited to see kind of where they go with the story, and I hope there's a lot of, twists, turns, cliffhangers. I think it's going to be something that could be really special, and if they land it properly, this could be a real great start for Phase 4. But let me know, like I said, what do you guys want to see in Black Widow? Were you the most excited to see? Let me know in the comment section below, and for more Black Widow content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. Quake is one of those arena shooters, guys, that I've talked about on quite a number of occasions here on the YouTube channel. And what I wanted to do in this segment of the show was talk about Quake 5 in particular, a game that we've talked about on the YouTube channel that we believe is something that needs to continue this franchise. I'm a huge believer in especially cult classic video games or movies that are doing something, have done something really special and deserve a continuation. Certainly should see a continuation at some point or another. And I think that Quake is one of those franchises. I know we have Quake Champions, right? But I think that this deserves a true continuation, similar to what Bethesda did with Doom Eternal. When I say Doom Eternal, and just Doom in general, you look at what they're doing with that franchise, and I've said in the past, guys, what Quake 5 can learn from Doom Eternal, or just the Doom franchise and what they're doing between Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, is they're trying new things, but they're also taking things from the formula that have really worked. And so I think with Quake 5, why this is a game that deserves to exist and coexist with other shooters out there is quite simple. This is a cult classic game, guys. One of the first real competitive shooters out there. And not only that, we see what Bethesda has been doing with of course, Doom. And this is a franchise, guys, that there was a lot of question marks going into Doom 2016. Is this going to be really live up to the Doom name? And it did, and it exceeded that in many ways. Then you had Doom Eternal come out, and now you have people talking about is this the greatest first-person shooter ever made? Now, I don't think it's the greatest ever made, but I think it might be one of the best made this particular year. And that being said, could Quake 5 be something like that? And I absolutely 100% believe in that. Now, obviously, Bethesda has had kind of a shaky, few years, I guess you could say. They've kind of brought out some really great games, that being like the Doom series, but then they've also brought out like Fallout 76 and some games where a lot of just, a lot of different microtransactions and just lots of issues that people have with Bethesda up to this point. Now, could they completely screw up a Quake 5 and, kind of throw in a bunch of microtransactions, and create lots of issues, right, between the community? Absolutely. But you could give them the benefit of the doubt and say, look, we're going to give them a shot like we gave them a shot with the Doom franchise, with Doom 2016, and then we see a continuation of Doom Eternal, and it just keeps on. It seems like that's a franchise that's now going to be a staple in gaming once again. Quake, I believe, can be the exact same thing. Look, guys, I want to see a game like this arena shooter. And of course, Quake being the arena shooter, pretty much. We got other games. We got Diabolical. We got other, games out there nowadays that are coming out that are becoming, arena shooters that are trying to be spiritual successors to Quake. But there's a difference between being a successor and being the OG, and that is pretty much, that's what Quake is, guys. So, Quake 5, guys, I think I would love to see it elaborate on not only its multiplayer experiences, but its co-op or its single-player experience. Dive us back into this world. Like, bring us back into the world, kind of get everyone familiarized, because there's a lot of people who never even played Quake before, especially now that we're going into the next generation of consoles. Get people familiarized with the Quake franchise, similar to what happened with Doom 2016. Do kind of like a soft reboot for Quake 5. Make this feel, kind of bring us back into the story and have a great story. Have that multiplayer experience that you can come back to over and over again, and even some co-op modes would be great as well. Having a full package for Quake 5, I believe, would be like just the best, a great business decision from Bethesda at this point in time. And this is a game, guys, that deserves to exist out there in gaming. It just does. Why it should be out there is because this is one of the cult classics in the first-person shooter, arena shooter genre. It deserves to continue. I even believe that games like GoldenEye and some of those really old classic games that I remember playing on like the Nintendo 64 and such, they deserve to continue at some point or another in gaming. It's crazy that some of them haven't. Now, with Quake, we have seen continuations of the franchise, but I don't know if Quake Champions was necessarily what everyone wanted, even though it's not like a bad addition to the franchise, but I think that people want to see, story modes. They want to see, other co-op modes, other ways you can connect with the franchise instead of just one particular way. I think Quake is the next title that Bethesda needs to really kind of hone in on and start creating this atmosphere similar to the Doom franchise. Take some of the things that worked for Doom, creating a great, story, a great multiplayer experience, and, co-op. And even, it's kind of evolved somewhat as well. You see what they did with Doom Eternal from Doom 2016. In Doom Eternal, they got battle mode, which is a different type of multiplayer mode, but and a lot of people don't like it. Some people love it. I just like the creativity there. I wish there were other game modes other than battle mode, obviously, but I love the creativity there. I love how they're trying new things. They're not just settling for what's worked in the past. They're consistently evolving things. And I think it's important that you take some of the things that have worked and you continue those and kind of elaborate on those, but then you also try new things. And I think with Quake, that's one of those examples. Take some of the things that make Quake Quake, but also try some new things. And I think that's something that could be really important throughout the course of Quake 5's history whenever this game comes out. And the thing is, guys, we don't really know if a Quake 5 is coming. I'm basing this on pure speculation that this game, I believe, will come out at some point or another. I just want to see Quake back on top again. I want to see this franchise back to where it belongs to be. One of those games that everybody's playing and has a absolute cult following, which it basically does at this point. But what I mean is that on the next generation consoles, the graphically and just, gameplay wise, I think it could be really something special. So I think, guys, as a community, people who love Quake, if you're a huge fan of the Quake franchise, I don't think Quake is dead or it's doomed at any point. I think it really comes down to the franchise kind of moving forward, but it really comes down to the fan base saying what we want in a Quake 5, and that we want Quake 5. We don't want to settle with just Quake Champions. We want more than that. And telling Bethesda those things is going to be extremely important moving forward. But let me know what you guys think about Quake and what do you guys want to see in Quake 5. Let me know in the comment section below. And for more Quake 5 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. Uncharted has been a very special franchise to me personally. I absolutely love Uncharted, guys. This is a franchise that has spanned over the course of time here, from the PlayStation 3 to now. So pretty much 2007 is when we got Drake's Fortune. And then, of course, A Thief's End back in 2016. And then, of course, we had The Lost Legacy. And The Lost Legacy is obviously the last game and kind of the last memory imprint I remember about Uncharted. And it's kind of a bummer. I've said this in the past, that's the last images and thoughts in my mind are The Lost Legacy, even though I know that The Lost Legacy was, not a direct continuation of A Thief's End, but it was obviously a side story, right? So what I want to talk about in this last segment of the show, where is Uncharted 5? Or is this a game that we're ever going to see at this point? Or is this going to be in a limbo state? Or is Uncharted the series done at this point? Because we've heard that there's a movie coming out, Uncharted movie, that Tom Holland is going to be, of course, playing as Nathan Drake. And that's that's awesome. If it is going to happen, which I'm really hoping it does, I think that it could be something special with Tom Holland playing as Nathan Drake. But nonetheless, Uncharted 5, guys, I think is a game and a franchise that should continue if Naughty Dog believes that they have something there, like as far as a continuation is concerned. Because we all know Naughty Dog, they're working on The Last of Us Part 2, which is going to be coming out at some point or another in the foreseeable future. But the fact of the matter is that I think Naughty Dog might just be thinking, look, we're going to work on The Last of Us 2. Maybe we'll come back to Uncharted. Maybe we'll just start a whole new IP. I think there's a chance, guys, that Uncharted is done at this point, because why continue trying to milk a franchise if there's a real concern that it's going to ruin the franchise? At the end of the day, it's all about money, but to me, Naughty Dog, I feel they want to work on things that not only are going to make them money, but are also stories that they want to tell. And The Last of Us, I think that they're obviously going to make at least 3 games out of The Last of Us games. So right now they're working on the second one. They probably will work on something else. Is it going to be Jak and Daxter? Is it going to be another Uncharted game? It's hard to say what they're going to work on next. But the thing is that I would love to see where they would go with Uncharted if they started, one of Nathan Drake's, family members, or, years later he becomes a side character and you play as, one of the other characters in the game, right? I would love to see a continuation, see like where the story goes. Just reminds me kind of like an Indiana Jones kind of story, even though it's its own thing, but I would love to see a continuation. However, when you talk about seeing continuations, you're also talking the potential of a game that isn't very good, something that people don't really like as much as the original games. Because I'll tell you this, from Drake's Fortune all the way to A Thief's End, those games just kind of got progressively better. I thought that the second one was better than the third one, but overall it just felt like it was getting better and better as we went. And I don't know, guys. I feel that there's something there. There's still something there, and I believe that as far as where is Uncharted 5 at this point, I think that it's in a hiatus. Whether that's a permanent hiatus or a temporary hiatus, it's hard to say. It really comes down to Naughty Dog. I don't think Naughty Dog will ever sell the IP to another developer to work on. It's something that's definitely close to their heart. You can just tell. But I would love to see a continuation. And if it does really well, which they take their time, they do a really good job. I mean, Naughty Dog is making an aggressive approach to be one of the most respected developers out there in the world. Kind of reminds me of like a Rockstar Games, making games that are just, they're trying to push the barrier every single game that they bring out. And I think The Last of Us 2 is going to just be an example of that, a continued example of what they're trying to build over there at Naughty Dog. But all in all, guys, Uncharted 5, I think it's in a temporary hiatus. I'm not going to say that it's done completely, but there might be a possibility that it is. I mean, it was called A Thief's End, and I think it was called A Thief's End for a reason. Now, maybe it was the end of Nathan Drake's story, but maybe there's a continuation somewhere else. And I would love to see that. But you know what? If Naughty Dog said we don't want to, we don't trust that we're going to be able to make a good enough story moving forward in the, Uncharted universe, then okay, leave it alone and work on a different IP. Just, kind of work on The Last of Us and maybe something else, like a new IP. I'd love to see new stories that they can tell. But there's something about Uncharted that, just the environments and just how exciting that story was. It was kind of it was just a fun story. The multiplayer was just starting to get really good in Uncharted: A Thief's End. It's hard to say, guys, where they might be going. But I think that if they trust that they can make a great story, Naughty Dog should 100% do it. But if they don't feel confident, I mean, just let it be. It's a franchise that, sure, I don't like that The Lost Legacy is the last kind of memory that I have. I would have rather had The Lost Legacy come out before A Thief's End, and then A Thief's End comes out, and that's the last, the last of the franchise. If that's how they're thinking, like A Thief's End is, or The Lost Legacy was the last Uncharted they'll ever work on. But nonetheless, I mean, it was just one of the greatest stretches of games I've ever played, easily on the PlayStation. I think The Last of Us, after playing the first one, the story itself, I love the horror elements of it, and that's why I think I put it above Uncharted in my opinion. But Uncharted is such a great story. Certainly the top 3 all-time for me as far as PlayStation games are concerned. But I would love to see a continuation. But at the end of the day, guys, I think it's in a temporary hiatus. Maybe it'll be revisited at some point or another by Naughty Dog. And if they decide not to do it, I'll respect that decision 100% because they're not going to want to ruin the franchise for everyone else. But let me know what you guys think. Would you want to see an Uncharted 5, and where do you think Uncharted 5 is at this point? Let me know in the comment section below. And for more Uncharted 5 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of The 8 Below Show. And if you guys did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.